I'll do the abridged version. I'm sure everybody who's watching knows the ins and outs of the interviews, and the first interview, May 25th, 2022, CM Punk and Hangman Page face off verbally. And Hangman Page goes off piece somewhat with his comments by saying to CM Punk, after all these years, I don't think you get it, because it's not just about what happens in this ring, it's what happens when that red light turns off. What happens when you go back through the curtain, those small quiet moments when you think no one's watching. You talk a big game about workers' rights. Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you've got here. And reportedly, this was at least partly in reference to the belief that Colt Cabana had been forced into re-signing with Tony Khan under a Ring of Honor contract, thereby removing him from AEW and the Dark Order faction. Do you think maybe CM Punk had a hand in it? Do you think Tony Khan saw the lay of the land and thought best to move him?
Well, if Tony Khan saw the lay of the land, that'd be the first time he noticed there was land even there. Because to me, he's almost, I use the term aloof. He's aloof to what's going on in his actual company. Now, I got a lot of, and I respect Tony Khan, but there's no saying in wrestling, you can't be friends with the talent. You just can't be, because you have direct influence over their career and their money. So you can't be friends with them. And I think that's what he's tried to do. He's tried to fit in. He wants to be one of the boys, which is, that's not a good moniker anyway, be one of the boys. I mean, you could be, if they're a bunch of assholes, you could just be one of the assholes, I guess. But he wanted to be friends to them. And, but it's not working out. Now, let's get a little deeper into this. If Punk did have something to do with Colt Cabana going to Ring of Honor, I don't give a crap about that. I really don't. I mean, that's between them. But I don't put it past Punk just to tell him that you shouldn't have him here. And maybe by this time, Tony Khan had heard of the beef. I'm sure he had to hear about it, between CM Punk and Cabana and all the legal issues going on. So I can't say he didn't do it, but if he did, which is about a 50-50 proposition, I don't even care about that. So, but that puts Tony Khan in a tough situation. Now, you saw the scrum.
Yes.
What they call the scrum. And for all of you Americans out there who've never heard of the word scrum, which sounds kind of nasty to me, to tell you the truth, but it's a British term, has to be, because I've never heard of anything described as a scrum before in English or American English. So it had to be an English term. But here you got, right after the pay-per-view, you got Tony Khan sitting out there doing the whole, it's a press conference, doing the whole press conference. And did you notice that when he was sitting with Punk, he was literally knocking some people head on, and Tony was sitting there nodding his head like, yeah, well, and he made one comment that was interesting to me. He said, I'm trying to run a business. Well, I didn't know he was in charge of it. I thought Tony Khan was in charge of running the business. So running the business means that he is financially dependent on how well the company does. But I've never heard that. He's not an owner, is he?
Nope. No percentage points in the business as far as I know.
Well, and he said that, but Tony didn't say no or didn't shake he's agreeing with everything Punk said.
He was, apologies for interrupting, he even apologized to CM Punk for some decision about not giving an answer to some journalist a few weeks earlier, and he was deferential to Punk, and it's like, dude, you're the boss. I mean, you know what I mean? I've never seen anyone act so unboss-like of a multi-million-dollar company.
But Punk didn't treat him like a boss. He treated him like, hey, he was just another guy. Like I can talk however I want, say whatever I want. And I think it was a very unflattering look for Tony Khan to sit out there and like just nod his head. Mm-hmm. That Tony has some big eyes, doesn't he?
Oh,
look at those eyes sometimes. And he's looking around and I'm thinking, wait a minute. Nobody looks that way normally. I mean, and I'm beginning to think maybe he may have had a little chemical imbalance somewhere along, and because he's looking around the room like this and he doesn't blink. So I'm not saying that's what we used to say in the car, the wrestlers. I'm not saying, but I'm saying. So you say something and then disconnect yourself from the very statement you just made.
He was very wide-eyed and almost doe-eyed, like deer in the headlights. And bushy-tailed.
Well, he's bushy-haired, so that's the same thing, just a different end.
Punk also apparently had, this is according to your old friend Dave Meltzer, heat in the locker room since he got there pretty much because he was, as a veteran, assuming a leadership role and trying to give some of the more flippy artists out there who do many, many spots some good advice about how to draw money long term, and nothing too specific, but he was trying to assume a leadership role and give advice, and a lot of the younger wrestlers didn't take it.
Well, if anybody doesn't take advice from a guy like CM Punk, whether you like him or not, I think that's disrespecting CM Punk, and actually disrespecting learning the trade that you're trying to learn. Somebody asked me, have you ever been sought out for advice? Yes, I have. But later on, when I went to WWE, did I willingly give advice without being asked? No, I didn't. Because I didn't want somebody to say, what the hell do you know, old man? That's ancient history. So if they would come to me and say, can I get your opinion? And most of them who did that were very, very nice. But I never, did you get it?
No, it flew off. I've got a fruit fly hanging out here, sorry.
But I never gave my opinion unsolicited. Now, if somebody asked for it, I'd give it. If you didn't ask for it, I wouldn't give it. So maybe Punk was trying to help some of these guys, and they took offense at it. Or they could have taken it, and then somebody later behind Punk's back said, why are you listening to Punk? That's years ago. This is a new day. This is this is that. Well, I got news to them. It's backstage. It's all politics anyway. Life is politics. So when you disrespect or talk behind a guy like CM Punk's back, that's really bad for business, because it creates a vibe in the dressing room. And some of those young guys actually think they invented AEW. Well, it was Tony Khan's idea from the beginning.